All right, get ready to dive into some cutting-edge AI research. We're looking at a system called InternLM XComposer 2.5 OmniLive.
Whoa.
There's a mouthful, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But IXC 2.5 OL for short gets this. It can understand and interact with audio and video all in real time.
Think about it like an AI watching a live basketball game with you, and not only seeing the game, but actually understanding what's happening enough to answer your questions about the plays.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Most AI models I know, they struggle with that constant stream of information, right?
Yeah. Like trying to make sense of a movie, but you can only see one frame every couple of minutes. You'd be so lost.
Totally. So how'd they figure this out?
So they took a cue from our own brains.
Yeah.
The most complex system we know. You know, we process sights and sounds and thoughts all at the same time, right?
Right.
That's why IXC 2.5 OL has these separate modules for perception, memory, and reasoning, just like our minds.
Okay, I'm following you. But what's actually happening in that perception module? Is it like recording everything?
It's like the system's eyes and ears, right?
Right.
Processing video and audio live, but it's not just recording everything like a security camera.
Oh.
It uses models to pick out the important stuff to remember.
So it's making decisions, like what's important. How does it even know?
Yeah, well, it leverages a model called Whisper to identify sounds and transcribe speech.
Okay.
And then a large language model, Qwen2 1.8b, analyzes what's being said. For video, there's OpenAI CLIP L14 that pulls out the visual information.
So it's getting the full picture.
Yeah.
The sound speech, the visual details. That's amazing. It's not just basic AI. This sounds more like, well, I don't know, like how we experience the world or something.
Exactly. And that's where the multimodal long memory module comes in.
Oh.
Kind of like the system's hippocampus.
Huh?
It stores short-term memories with lots of detail and then long-term memories that are more compressed.
Compressed.
Yeah.
How do you compress a memory?
Well, like, you know, if you try to remember every single detail of every single day, you'd go crazy.
Yeah.
Instead, we kind of store the gist, right?
Yeah.
The important stuff.
Yeah.
IXC 2.5 OL does the same thing.
So it's like the system is making its own cliff notes?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And here's where it gets even more interesting. The researchers trained it to answer questions where the answer isn't directly stated, but implied. Like reading between the lines, figuring out that you're thirsty just because you said it's hot out or something like that.
That's more than just memory, right? It's like understanding.
Exactly. And that takes us to the final module, reasoning. This is where the system combines what it's sensing right now with all those compressed memories.
So it's piecing it all together, like solving a puzzle.
Exactly. And the reasoning module is powered by an improved version of InternLM XComposer 2.5.
Okay.
This is a powerful language model that can understand and think about all the information it's getting.
This is a lot, but hold on. This isn't just responding to commands.
Right. It's actually learning, understanding, reasoning.
Yeah.
All in real time.
Yeah.
What does this mean for us? What kind of real world stuff are we talking about here?
Well, imagine AI assistants that are way more helpful than anything we've got now.
Okay.
Like, picture an AI watching a live soccer game with you and answering your questions, not just basic stats,
Oh, okay.
but like, why did the coach make that substitution?
Like a super smart commentator that's just there for me.
Yeah.
That's next level.
Or imagine an AI that can help you fix something
Okay.
by actually seeing what you're seeing.
Oh, okay.
Like guiding you step by step based on what's actually going on.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
But did this thing actually work? How do they test it?
They put it through a whole bunch of tests for understanding audio and video, and it did amazingly well.
Like what kind of tests? Give me some examples.
Identifying objects, understanding what happens in a video, even predicting what might happen next.
Whoa.
And figuring out cause and effect, like if someone spills a drink.
Yeah. It understands. That's why there's a puddle.
So it's demonstrating real-world understanding.
Exactly.
Okay.
So on Streaming Bench,
All right.
this is a test for real-time video interaction.
Okay.
IXC 2.5 OL beat all the other open source models.
Meeting.
It's better at real-time video than some of the big tech companies' secret models.
That's huge. And it's open source.
It gets even better.
Yeah.
The researchers open source the whole system.
Wait, so anybody can download this
Yeah.
and tinker with it.
That means other researchers can build on their work.
That's incredible. This is a big deal, right? We've talked about why it's needed and how it works, but what can it actually do?
Oh, let's get into that. They tested IXC 2.5 OL on a whole bunch of tasks, and the results are super cool.
Give me some highlights.
It was especially good at stuff that needed it to understand both language and visuals, like
All right.
on a benchmark called MLVU.
Okay.
It beats some closed source models,
Closed source.
the ones that big companies keep secret.
So this thing that's totally open
Yeah.
outperforms secret AI.
Yeah, that's how good it is. But also it shows how powerful open collaboration can be.
Wow. Okay, crush the long videos.
Yeah.
How about shorter ones?
It did great there, too.
Okay.
Really high scores on the video MME benchmark, which tests understanding and answering questions about different length videos.
So it's adaptable.
Yeah.
Not just a data monster. But what about real time, like that quick thinking we talked about?
That's where Streaming Bench comes in, remember? It tests how well AI handles real-time video, and IXC2.5OL was the best, beating all the other open source models.
Okay, so it's fast, accurate, adaptable. What about audio only?
Didn't disappoint there either.
Okay.
Tested on Wenet's speech, which uses Chinese,
Okay.
and LibreSpeech, which uses English.
So both.
Got great results on both, showing it can accurately transcribe and understand multiple languages.
Wow, multilingual.
Yeah, and it was really good at handling real-world audio, like conversations with background noise.
That's super important.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got video, audio, amazing results all around. But let's go back to those implicit questions you mentioned.
Yeah.
What are those, and how does this system handle them?
Well, implicit questions, it's a really important part of making AI understand us, right? Like, these are questions where what you're asking isn't directly stated, but it's implied.
Okay.
Like how we communicate as humans, we don't always spell everything out.
Right, like if I say, it's freezing in here,
Yeah.
I want you to turn up the heat, even though I didn't say that.
Exactly. Traditional AI struggles with that, but they specifically designed IXC 2.5 AOL to handle these kinds of questions.
So how'd they teach it to read between the lines?
They made special data sets with examples of these questions.
Oh, okay.
For example, they might show it a video of someone sweating on a sunny day and ask, how's the weather?
So it has to infer, oh, it's hot out, even though the question doesn't mention temperature.
Yeah.
That's clever.
Right. Or questions like, what is this?
Oh.
Where the system has to figure out what this is based on what's happening.
Like we...
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing.
These skills are super important for AI to interact with us naturally, you know?
Yeah.
It's not just about processing data.
Yeah.
It's about meaning.
And intent.
Yeah.
And that's like us, right? We talk like that.
Yeah, exactly. And they didn't just focus on the tech, they also thought about how it could work in the real world.
Oh.
Developed a whole system pipeline from capturing the audio and video to processing it live and responding.
So it's not just a research paper.
Yeah.
It's like instructions for how to actually use this.
Yeah, and remember, all the code's open source.
Oh, wow.
Anyone can use it.
That's amazing. It's not just a breakthrough, it's a starting point for all sorts of new stuff.
Yeah.
But hold on, let's break this down even more. We've got the why and the how, but now, like, what about the details? Like the really technical stuff.
Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty. So remember those 3 modules?
Perception, memory, reasoning.
Yeah. Each one's actually made up of a bunch of smaller parts all working together. It's really complex. So let's start with the streaming perception module.
Yeah.
What's happening under the hood there?
Yeah, let's break it down.
So remember, it's constantly processing new video and audio.
Yeah.
So to do that efficiently, it splits the processing into 2 pipelines, one for audio and one for video.
Oh, so it's not treating it as one big lump of information.
Exactly. Audio and video are pretty different, right?
Yeah, totally.
So it makes sense to analyze them separately.
Makes sense.
So let's start with the audio pipeline. The first step is to encode the audio signal into something the system understands.
Okay.
They used Whisper, which is known for being really accurate with speech recognition.
So Whisper turns the sound waves into text.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then that text goes to another model, Qwen2-Def 1.8b, which analyzes the text, picking out keywords and important phrases, and figures out the meaning.
Okay, so we go from sound waves to text to understanding what's being said.
Exactly.
That's pretty mind-blowing. What about the video side?
It's just as sophisticated. It uses OpenAI CLIP L14 to get visual information from every frame of the video.
So CLP is analyzing what it sees,
Yeah.
like Whisper does with audio, but what kind of visual information are we talking about?
It gets a ton of information, things like identifying objects, people, cars, buildings, and also things like their color, size, position.
Oh, wow.
It can even detect actions, walking, talking, running, and even figure out the relationships between things in the scene.
So it's not just seeing colors, it's understanding what it sees.
Exactly.
Wow, that's a lot. So all this info From both audio and video goes to the next module.
Yeah, the multimodal long memory.
The hippocampus. You mentioned it uses compression to store all that. Can you explain that a bit more?
Think of it like, if you tried to remember every single detail of a movie,
Yeah.
your brain would explode.
Yeah, probably.
Your brain automatically compresses it, keeps the important parts.
Right, so I'd remember the plot and characters, but not like what everyone was wearing.
Exactly. That's kind of what the multimodal long memory is doing.
Okay.
It uses, in this case, that same Qwen2 1.8b we talked about to compress the information.
So it's like summarizing what it experiences.
Yeah.
How does it know what to keep and what to throw away?
That's where the training data comes in. The researchers created data sets with short-term and long-term memories, so it learns to prioritize.
So it's like teaching it to think like us.
Exactly.
Whoa, that's wild.
And compressing is crucial for those long interactions.
Right, like it can't keep every detail of every video forever.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But then how does it find the right memory later when it needs it?
That's a great question. It brings us to information retrieval. It uses something called similarity search.
Similarity search.
Yeah.
How does that even work with memories?
So think about how your brain searches through your own memories for something related to what you're thinking about.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like that. When you ask a question, the system compares it to all its memories,
Okay.
looking for the closest matches based on meaning.
So it's not looking for the exact words,
Yeah.
but what the question means.
Yeah.
Clever.
Once it's found those memories, that's when the reasoning module comes in,
Okay.
takes those memories, and uses them to answer you.
So reasoning is kind of like the storyteller,
Like
taking those memories and making them into an answer.
Yeah. And this is where handling those implicit questions comes in.
Right.
Even if the answer wasn't directly in the video, it can use its understanding to come up with a good response.
It's not just repeating what it's seen, it's actually thinking.
Right. This is what makes it different. It's an active thinker, a problem solver.
That's incredible. But how does it do all this in real time? I mean, it's got all these modules and processes going on. Seems like it'd be hard to keep it all smooth and quick.
It's super complex for sure. That's where the system pipeline we talked about earlier comes in. Remember, they designed a whole system for managing everything.
Okay,
From getting the audio and video to processing and responding.
Like an assembly line,
Yeah.
where everything has its place.
One of the big challenges is dealing with latency.
Latency.
That delay between asking a question and getting an answer. If that takes too long, the conversation just doesn't flow.
Yeah, it gets annoying when it feels slow.
Right. So they use some smart tricks to speed things up. One is to parallelize as many processes as possible.
Instead of doing it all step by step, it's doing multiple things at the same time.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
And that makes things much faster. They also used buffering, which basically means storing little bits of data as it comes in.
Okay.
So the system can start processing before everything has arrived.
Like giving it a head start.
Exactly.
Right.
These things are super important for getting that real-time response.
So it's doing all this in the background, and we don't even notice.
Exactly.
That's incredible. Okay, so we've talked about the technical stuff, the memory, how it finds information, and how it manages to do it all in real time. But there's one more thing I want to talk about. The fact that this whole project is open source.
Oh, yeah. That's huge. They didn't just keep it to themselves.
Yeah.
They wanted everyone to have access to it.
Why do you think they did that?
I think it shows how much they believe in open science.
Yeah.
Sharing their code and findings freely so that others can learn from it, collaborate, and make new stuff.
Like they're inviting everyone to help build the future of AI.
Exactly. When more people can see how it works,
Yeah.
it's easier to find problems
Right.
and work together to fix them.
It's like a team effort to make sure AI is used for good.
Yeah, exactly. Open and accessible AI is important because it lets us talk about it in a real way,
Yeah.
not just be afraid of it or hype it up too much.
Okay, I like that. It's moving from competition to working together,
Yeah,
and from being scared to being excited about the possibilities.
exactly. IXC 2.5 OL is a big step in that direction,
Okay.
showing what happens when we work together.
So we've covered the inner workings, the memory, the real-time processing, and the importance of open source. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about what this all means, the bigger picture in part 2.
Sounds good. There's a lot more to uncover.
Yeah, we've only just scratched the surface of this incredible research.
Exactly. Okay, so we've really dug into how IXC 2.5 OL works, this AI that can perceive, remember, and reason all in real time.
It's like we took apart a super complex machine and saw all the gears turning.
Exactly. But now that we get the how, let's talk about the so what.
Right, the big question.
What does this breakthrough actually mean for the future of AI.
And more importantly, what does it mean for us?
Yeah.
It's exciting seeing AI getting so smart, but it also makes you wonder, what happens when machines start thinking like us?
Yeah, it's a big question for sure.
Feels like we're entering uncharted territory here.
Definitely. We have to think about the good and the bad that could come with this kind of advanced AI.
Okay, well, let's start with the positives. We've already talked about some amazing things like those AI assistants that can answer really tough questions instantly or even help us fix things.
Right.
But what other possibilities are there?
Oh, the possibilities are almost endless. Imagine personalized education,
Ooh,
where AI tutors can adapt to how each student learns best.
that would change everything.
Yeah, especially for students who don't do well in normal classrooms.
Yeah, totally.
And what about healthcare? AI could look at medical images and help doctors make better diagnoses.
That could mean catching diseases earlier.
Exactly. And maybe even finding new treatments faster.
And wouldn't it be great for drug discovery?
Definitely. And we can't forget about creativity. AI could work with artists and musicians pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Okay, so we're talking about transforming education, healthcare, and even the arts. It's hard to even imagine the impact.
It's huge. But with all this power comes responsibility.
Right.
What are some of the challenges we need to be careful about as we build these systems?
Yeah, that's a big one. What are we worried about?
One of the biggest concerns is bias.
Bias.
Yeah. AI systems learn from tons of data,
Right.
but if that data has biases, the AI will learn them too, and that can lead to unfair outcomes.
It's a huge problem. We have to make sure these systems aren't making things worse.
Definitely. And another thing is transparency. As AI gets more complex, it becomes harder to understand how it's making decisions.
Yeah, it's like a black box. We get answers, but we don't know how it got there.
Exactly. And that can be a problem, especially in fields like healthcare or law enforcement.
Where we have to be able to trust the system.
Right. We need transparency to build trust and make sure these systems are used fairly.
Okay, so transparency and fairness are huge. What about jobs?
Yeah, a lot of people are worried about AI replacing human jobs.
Right. It's a valid concern.
While AI can automate some things, it can also create new jobs and help people do their jobs better.
So it's not about replacing us,
Oh.
but finding ways to work together.
Exactly. And that means investing in education and training so people can thrive in this new world.
Not just coding skills.
Right.
The things like critical thinking and problem solving.
Mhm.
The stuff AI can't do.
That's right. It's about empowering people to use AI as a tool.
Okay, so we've got amazing opportunities, but also challenges. And this takes us back to the open source aspect.
Right.
What do you think that means for these conversations about responsible AI?
Open sourcing this research is a great step. It makes things more transparent, encourages collaboration, and lets more people help shape the future of AI.
Like inviting the world to join the conversation.
Yeah, when more people can see how it works,
Yeah.
we can all work together to make sure it's used the right way.
Like a collective effort to guide AI in a good direction.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
crucial because the future of AI is something we're all creating together.
So it's not just about the tech itself, but about the choices we make as a society.
Absolutely. We need to be asking ourselves some tough questions. What kind of future do we want with AI?
Yeah.
What values do we want to build into it?
Okay.
How can we make sure AI empowers us?
Not replace us.
Exactly. These are questions everyone needs to be thinking about, not just the tech people.
Right. We all need to be part of this conversation.
Yeah. Now, we've talked about the big picture, but let's zoom back in on some of the technical details that make this system so impressive.
Okay. Back to the nuts and bolts.
One of the coolest things is how it handles multimodal information, which means it combines different kinds of data, like audio, video, and text,
Okay.
to get a better understanding of what's happening.
So it's not just looking at things separately, it's putting it all together.
Exactly. That's a big deal because the real world works that way.
Yeah.
We experience things through all our senses.
Right.
So AI needs to be able to do that too.
Makes sense. The more info it has, the better it can understand.
Exactly. IXC 2.5 LL does this really well thanks to its design and the algorithms that make it work.
Okay, can you give me an example of how this multimodal processing actually works?
Sure. Let's say it's watching a video of someone cooking. It can see the ingredients, the steps they're taking, but it can also hear the sounds, like chopping or sizzling.
So it's getting a fuller picture.
Exactly. And it can even read the transcript of what the person is saying.
Oh, wow.
Maybe they're explaining the recipe.
Right.
By combining all that, the system gets a much better understanding of what's happening.
It's almost like it's experiencing the video like we would.
Yeah, in a way. But how does it handle all that info without getting overloaded. I mean, we talked about memory compression.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that helps?
That's a good question.
One of the key things is the use of attention mechanisms.
Attention mechanisms.
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard of those.
Think about how you focus your attention in a noisy room.
Okay.
Lots of things are going on, but you can tune into the conversation you're having.
Right. We filter things out all the time.
Exactly. Attention mechanisms in AI do something similar.
Oh, okay.
They let the system focus on the most important info and ignore the rest.
Like a spotlight.
Yeah, exactly.
Shining on what matters.
This is super important for processing multimodal data.
So it's not trying to do everything at once.
No, it focuses on what's important.
Makes.
And that's how it can understand and interact in real time.
So attention mechanisms are like a bridge between how humans and AI process information.
Absolutely. It's just one example of how researchers are using what we know about the brain to make AI better.
So we've got this amazing system that's breaking new ground in real-time understanding.
Yeah.
All thanks to some brilliant engineering, clever algorithms, and
Yeah.
insights from how our own brains work.
It's really cool how they brought it all together.
Yeah. So where does all this leave us? We've talked about the tech, the philosophy. What are your final thoughts on this deep dive into IXE 2.5 OL?
I think the big thing is that we're seeing a huge change in what AI can do.
Okay.
Systems like this are showing that AI isn't limited anymore.
Like it can do more than just simple tasks.
Yeah, we're moving towards AI that can interact with the world more like us, seeing, remembering, thinking, even predicting.
It's pretty mind-blowing.
But as we keep pushing these boundaries, we have to do it responsibly.
Right, we have to be careful.
We need to think about the risks, but also embrace the amazing opportunities.
It's a delicate balance.
Yeah, and it's a conversation that everyone needs to be a part of.
Okay, so what can our listeners do to stay informed?
Stay curious, read about the latest research,
Okay.
go to events,
Yeah.
talk about it with others.
The more we know about AI, the better we can shape its future.
Exactly. And as we wrap up, I want to leave everyone with one final thought.
Okay, what's that?
Don't be afraid to ask questions, to challenge assumptions, and to really think critically about the role of AI in our lives.
Because ultimately, we're all shaping the future of AI together.
That's right. The more we talk about it and understand it, the better that future will be.
So we spent this whole deep dive exploring IXC 2.5 OL.
This AI that can understand audio and video in real time.
It's pretty incredible how far AI has come.
It really is a technological marvel.
But now that AI is getting so sophisticated, we have to talk about what it means.
Right. Absolutely. We have to be really careful about the ethics of all of this.
Right, and making sure this tech is used responsibly.
Yeah, it's not just about what it can do,
Okay.
but making sure it's used for good.
It's about using AI to make a better future.
For everyone.
Exactly. And one thing we've talked about a lot is how important it is for AI to be open and accessible.
Yeah, the fact that they open source this whole project.
It's a big statement.
Yeah, it really shows their dedication to transparency and collaboration.
It's like they're saying, hey, we think this tech can benefit everyone, so come on in and help us shape its future.
That's a great way to put it. By making the code and research available, they're encouraging people to build on what they've done.
It's a great example of how open science can lead to real progress.
Exactly. And it also helps with those concerns we talked about.
Oh, yeah, like bias and transparency.
When more people can see how it works, it's easier to catch problems and fix them.
So it's a collective effort to make sure AI is used the right way.
Exactly. Open and accessible AI helps us have a real conversation about AI.
Not just be afraid of it or exaggerate what it can do.
Right. It's about working together, not competing.
About feeling empowered, not scared.
Exactly. I think IXE 2.5 OL is a great example of this.
Showing how powerful it can be when we work together.
Yeah. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are the big things for our listeners?
Yeah, what should they remember?
I think the most important takeaway is that AI is changing fast.
Okay.
Systems like this are doing things we never thought possible.
We're entering a whole new era where AI can interact with the world in ways that are more and more human-like.
Exactly. And as AI gets more powerful, we have to be careful about how we use it.
Right. It's exciting, but also kind of scary.
Yeah, we need to think about the risks, but also embrace the possibilities.
Yeah, it's balanced.
And one more thing. The future of AI isn't set in stone.
It's not.
No. It's something we're all creating together.
So what can people do to be a part of that?
Stay informed, keep learning.
Yeah.
Talk about AI with others, and advocate for responsible development.
Because the goal is to create a future where AI helps us
Solves problems.
makes the world better,
Exactly. A future where AI makes our lives better, gives us new opportunities.
and helps us create a fairer world.
That's the kind of future we should be aiming for.
And I think projects like IXC 2.5 OL, with their focus on collaboration
Yeah,
and responsible development, can show us how to get there.
I agree. It's been great exploring all this with you.
Me too.
Yeah.
And to our listeners, thanks for joining us.
It was great having you along.
We hope you learned something new about AI and how important it is to use it responsibly.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.